Hey guys, Tim Miller from the Bulwark. I'm here with managing editor Sam Stein. Kamala Harris just got off the stage in an interview with the National Association of Black Journalists. We wanted to react to the top answers and the most important news that she broke from that. And I think the most important thing, Sam and I both agree, is it was quite a contrast from the last person to do an interview with NABJ. In case you forgot, let's watch a little clip.
I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black.
So the tone was a little different today, Sam.
Yeah, no, she did not wonder aloud if Donald Trump only recently turned white.
Or orange.
Or
brown. He's kind of recently turned brown. He's turned from orange to brown.
No. What's your favorite orange? Burnt sienna?
Burnt sienna. He's a burnt sienna. He's upgraded. I used to do mango. And he's upgraded to burnt sienna. It's objective. I'm sorry, now we're just stuck here, but I think he was darker than her on the debate stage. Like, that's how dark the pine tar was.
Speaking of the debate stage, you know how she sort of baited Trump into talking about things? I knew exactly I could bait you into by just mentioning burnt sienna.
The shades of his makeup.
What Instagram filter is Donald Trump's skin? Tim, go.
New York. Okay, Sam, let's... besides that, all right, so he didn't discuss the skin tone. She didn't discuss the skin tone,
Let's put it this way. It was a very conventional, normal... Yeah. It wasn't like, they weren't lapdogs. They confronted her on a few things. There were a couple questions that were a little bit sort of... put on a pedestal or put on a head. But there's some softballs. But I would say 90 to 95% of the questions were confrontational, adversarial, looking for news, and this is how it should be. And she, as political candidates, she tried to skirt the answer and making news. It was a very conventional interview of a politician, which raises two questions. One is, why can't Trump do that? Is he incapable of doing that? And then two is, why hasn't she been doing this? Because I think it's obvious that she's capable of doing. I mean, certainly there's some tripwire, but she should be doing this. Maybe she will be doing this.
And I think she will be doing more. My answer to that is, just objectively, like, she just is a little bit more halting in these settings, right? Like, look, everybody has strengths. There are candidates. Pete, for example, is great in a town hall setting, does good on Fox. He doesn't light my world on fire though on when he's giving a stump speech, right? Everybody is better at some things than others, and I think that's probably why. But again, no major stumbles for her today. Let's go through some of the newsy and top answers. What did you think was the most interesting bit?
She was asked specifically about what's going on in Springfield. The reason I thought this was news is that, to a degree, she and Tim Walz have not really weighed in all that heavily or forcefully in terms of what's happening in terms of the kind of bigotry and racism of the attacks being leveled at Haitian Americans, and the role that J.D. Vance and Donald Trump have played in that. So she was asked about that.
What jumped out at you there?
So one is that she was very forceful, basically saying, look, this is completely reprehensible and irresponsible for someone in political power to do this in a way that sort of created a kind of moral contrast. I think it's important I think viewers sort of need to understand it. The immigration issue is, not great for Democrats. It's very evident watching the past week that Trump and Vance want the conversation to be on immigration, border, migrants. Like, they're willing to take as our colleague Mark Caputo reported, they're willing to take the lumps being called racist and xenophobic in order to have a conversation on immigration and border. And in this case, Harris just sort of plowed right into it and said, screw it. Like, this is a moral contrast we're willing to have. And that's why I thought it was interesting. It wasn't so much that she said particularly harsh words about what they've been saying, but it was just that she engaged it and didn't skirt it. So I thought that was noteworthy.
And the other thing that Kamala didn't do was pronounce the country that the migrants are from as Haitian. Haitian. Yeah, that's right. Haitian. Let's just watch that clip really quick.
Over the last few years, 20,000 migrants, primarily from Haiti, have been dropped into Springfield, Ohio.
You're going to malign a group, you can at least do the bare minimum to learn.
Or maybe that's part of the process of maligning them. Yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay, boss. Wait. There's another answer. The comms guy in me, my favorite answer was, you have your nose for news. I'm looking for performance. And as a comms person, my favorite answer was also related to Springfield. And, well, she ends up tying it back to Springfield. And she's asked about Secret Service and whether she has confidence in Secret Service in the light of the second attempted assassination on Trump. And then also the questioner mentions some other threats that she's faced and whether she feels safe. Let's take a listen to that.
Do you have full confidence in the Secret Service to protect all of you?
I do.
You feel safe for you and your family?
I do. But, I mean, you can go back to Ohio. Not everybody has Secret Service. And there are far too many people in our country right now who are not feeling safe. I mean, I look at Project 2025, and I look at, like the Don't Say Gay laws coming out of Florida. Members of the LGBTQ community don't feel safe right now. Immigrants or people with an immigrant background don't feel safe right now. Women don't feel safe right now. And so, yes, I feel safe. I have Secret Service protection. But that doesn't change my perspective on the importance of fighting for the safety of everybody in our country. And doing everything we can to, again, lift people up and not beat people down so they feel alone and are made to feel small and made to feel like they're somehow not a part of it or us.
All right. So what jumped at me there, she goes, she does what I just want every politician to do, always, which is like, not about me. Yeah. She's like, I feel safe. It's good. I don't actually have, not everybody actually has Secret Service. Like the people in Springfield who are worried right now about those bomb threats, they don't have Secret Service. And then she's just, boom, off to the races. She's talking about the Don't Say Gay bill. She's talking about the migrants. She's talking about all the people that Donald Trump is making to feel afraid. And the J.D. Vance admitted in 2016 in that tweet that these people are being made afraid by Donald Trump's actions. And she was just, off a nice pivot there that addresses the Secret Service question and gets to her core message.
It's kind of interesting is that Trump has not gone as far as other Republicans in raising suspicions about or criticisms of the Secret Service. Like even yesterday, he was like very complimentary of the role that they played with this Ryan Ruth character down in Florida. And then in the aftermath of what happened in Butler, he did not rush into the fray to say, oh, these people are, terrible and they're trying to get me killed and there might be some deep state. Yeah. And like today, there was a Congressman, Eli Crane, in I forget what states.
Arizona.
Yeah. I mean, he basically was like openly on the Benny Johnson show. He's basically like, there probably is a mole in the Secret Service, which is like, come on, man. Like, you're just spreading these types of paranoia fears. And I am not like saying that, Secret Service has been commendable or done a great job, because clearly they haven't. But it is noteworthy that Trump has not been as bad as he could be on this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe he's easily flattered, right? Like, so, if you're nice to Trump, Trump's nice to you, and this is one trait about Trump. And he knows all these guys are all around him, right? And so I do think there's a little bit of that, which is, shows the very tiny little iota of humanity in there somewhere, underneath the layers of coated makeup. Yeah, underneath the Marziana. Okay, and then one other quasi-news item. It's only a news item because it's not news. We'll explain. Let's watch Kamala Harris get asked by Eugene Janos, your former Politico colleague, about the situation in Gaza.
There's no policy change that either you or President Biden have gone and said they would do. Is there a specific policy change as president that you would do in our helping of Israel?
We need to get this deal done, and we need to get it done immediately, and that is my position, and that is my policy. We need to get this deal done.
But in the way that we send weapons, in the way that we interact as their ally, are there specific policy changes? Well,
Eugene, for example, one of the things that we have done that I am entirely supportive of is the pause that we've put on the 2,000-pound bombs. And so there is some leverage that we have had and used. But ultimately, the thing that is going to unlock everything else in that region is getting this deal done. And I'm not going to disclose private conversations, but I will tell you, I've had direct conversations with the Prime Minister, with the President of Israel, with Egyptian leaders, and with our allies. And I think we've made ourselves very clear this deal needs to get done in the best interest of everyone in the region, including getting those hostages out who, I mean, we saw the latest example of what happened with the six most recently, one of whom was an American citizen.
But what do you say to those that say that's not enough, that stopping the 2,000-pound bombs the one time wasn't enough, that this administration, your possible administration, has to do more?
Well, we are doing the work of putting the pressure on all parties involved to get the deal done. But let me be very clear also. I support Israel's ability to defend itself. And I support the need for Palestinians to have dignity, self-determination, and security as we move forward and get a two-state deal done. But right now, the thing we need to get done is this hostage deal and this ceasefire deal. We need a ceasefire. We need the hostage deal.
All right. What jumped out to you there, Sam?
So this is kind of like, it's been this way for months now, in which she says things on Gaza specifically and what's happening there that are, I would say, 99% echoing what her boss, President Biden, says about the situation in Gaza. More or less like, we support Israel, we believe it has the right to defend itself. We also are, concerned about the extent to which their campaign in Gaza is creating humanitarian harm. We want them to, be sure that's at the forefront of their mind, yada, 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 whatever. But for some reason, there are several reasons, I suspect, when she says it, it becomes filtered in a way that people are like, oh, there's daylight between her and Biden. And she cares more about the situation in Gaza and Palestinian statehood and the right of sovereignty and the humanitarian suffering there than Biden does. And if you just sort of step back and you look at what they're saying, it's like basically identical. I think the one distinction or two distinctions are, one, she sometimes puts the emphasis on the Palestinians before talking about the Israelis, and two is she's black. And I think people are sort of interpreting her as being more sympathetic to the Palestinians because they look at her as a person who's from Indian American and black heritage. And it's just like, yeah, of course she's more sympathetic to the Palestinians.
Yeah, I think that there's that assumption too. And it's just, and maybe she is more, so I guess I can get inside both of their heads. But if you just look at the language, it's a little bit related to her emphasis. But policy-wise, it is. There's no daylight.
There's not much daylight there. I mean, she's not saying, "Oh, we should restrict more weaponry from Israel until they do X, Y, and Z," or even like the Palestinians deserve more humanitarian aid and they should be given immediate recognition by the United Nations. No, it's nothing like that. It's just it's the same thing that Biden usually says.
And it's kind of a sour spot issue for her, and I think why the less talking about is probably the better on balance. Because the funny thing is, the people after the interview, I'm watching social media, like the pro-Palestine activist crowd, they post about how they're upset that she's not doing more to appeal to their point of view, and the pro-Israel crowd doesn't give her any credit.
No,
so she gets no credit from the people.
Lose. There's a really funny moment which really says a lot about the Democratic Party over the course of the summer. I think it was in the spring where Biden was really struggling. He was still a candidate then. He was really struggling. It was very evident that things weren't going well for him. And then sort of randomly the White House was like, he's going to deliver a major speech on the situation in Israel and Gaza. And everyone's like, why would you do that? Why are you highlighting the thing that's tearing your base apart and bringing more attention to your stewardship of this crisis that's clearly costing you? Just talk about something else, anything else. But she, to your point,
I was on set with Andrea Mitchell and Katie Tur during that speech, and we were all just sitting around yeah, why is she doing this right now?
Why is he doing this?
Is there something else? Is he going to get to a different topic? Anyway,
and I think Harris, to some degree, her if you want to call it savvy, you could call it caution, whatever you want to say. She knows when to not talk. She knows when to leave a subject alone. And this is why I suppose that the Springfield thing stood out to me, is that she hasn't really been weighing in it, but maybe they actually have come to some sort of determination that, as dangerous as this turf is for them politically, that it is fine to talk about the morality of taking 20,000 Haitians who the majority of them are here legally and are being targeted by people of immense political power and say, hey, enough, this is a bad look.
Yeah. Yeah, and when personal danger gets into the mix as well, this is something that she mentioned in that answer. Okay, much else to discuss. We'll be back here. Lots happening. The campaign trail's heating up a little bit. Both sides are out there a little bit more than they had been.
Let me just say, the campaign trail is heating up when the uniform becomes the blue shirt uniform.
We're both. We're bro.
50 days out, this is all I wear.
I don't usually do it, so I'll make sure to change next time we're on a thing together so we're not matching. Make sure you subscribe to the feed, give us a little like, little thumbs up, and tell your pals. And come on back next time. Me and Sam Stein will be analyzing the diary of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. We'll see you all then. Peace.
Hopefully.